mi gente. Welcome back to another episode of Vino y la Verdad, hosted by Ladies of Wine and Wisdom 5. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hey.
Hi.
How are you? How
I'm
are
good.
you?
I'm good. Recovering from a cold, but I'm good. I'm there.
We missed you last week.
I know. I heard you guys held it down, though. I'm so proud of you guys.
We
tried. We did our best.
I heard I missed a very interesting conversation.
You did.
Very
you did.
I heard Amazon got a lot of orders too.
I'm sure Amazon is booming right now.
Oh,
especially for Mother's Day.
I know.
Right.
Amazon must be like, oh, huh.
It was just like, thank you when it was the five.
All of a sudden, there's an influx of roses being purchased.
Roses on Mother's Day. You're supposed to give roses on Mother's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a mother, but I got a couple of roses
Pero
myself.
tú eres un godmother. Tú eres un godmother.
I am a godmother. That is very
mother
true.
or no mother, we need those roses.
Yes,
That's it.
That's right. You're right.
That's it.
Yes, we all need our flowers.
That's right.
Buy them today because they'll be like double the price tomorrow on Saturday.
That's very true. Very, very true. So are you guys ready for Mother's Day?
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
Do you think Mother's Day is overrated?
No, I don't think it's overrated. I think it's the gift giving what's overrated. But absolutely, mothers need to be acknowledged, and not just on Mother's Day, but every day. But just
that's
the gift giving.
That's why it's overrated.
Right.
Because
it's like Christmas.
Or even like Valentine's.
Right.
Like you should show love to your mom and show love
a marketing
to each other
thing.
all the time.
It's a marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it loses the real meaning of it.
Right.
Yes.
No,
that's where I was going with it.
Just like everything, you go through the everyday hustles, and then you do forget. Not that you forget, but you forget to call or acknowledge, say I love you. So it's like a one day to just, here's your little mani-pedi, like just do something very sweet and thoughtful for your mom, and like letting your kids say, Mom, I love you. Kids can be sometimes standoffish, sometimes, So I think it's a nice day, I think, but the gift giving, like all of that, I don't need all that. I don't need to go to a restaurant where it's like $300.
No.
Cook something,
we don't
something at home together. Yeah. Let's just spend time.
That we do.
Time together.
Yeah. And that's what I actually love about it, Claudia, that we get together. We get together at my mom's place, my sister, her significant other, her kids, their significant others, their kids, me and my kids. So, usually my aunt comes as well. Some of my cousins show up. So it becomes a beautiful thing because we really do get together, and whether we all make something or we just order food but it's just the beauty of all of us being together and seeing Mom so happy to have her grandkids, her great grandkids, her daughters, all of us just come together. Day of just hanging out in her place. It's awesome.
When I say cheers to that. Yeah, definitely cheers to that.
Yeah.
When I say, excuse me, overrated, I mean in the sense like, what Jessica was saying, that people lose the meaning of these special holidays, right? Of, Christmas and Valentine's Day and, even New Year's Eve, right? It's the whole start of a whole new year. Mother's Day, I think when you don't have them around is when you appreciate, right? Mother's Day, right? That you're wishing you could actually have spent that day with your mother. And every day should be a day that you call your mom and just tell her, hey, good morning, everything okay? I love you, te llamo ahorita, right? I talk to my mom every day.
Me too.
2-3 times a day sometimes, unwillingly. My mother sometimes calls me 15 times a day.
Me neither. But my mother is not that person.
Right.
Either. Yeah. So it's something that I have had to stop feeling guilty about, because then I call my mother, doesn't pick up, but she's busy, but then we'll talk at least 2 to 3 times a week,
right?
So, and it's okay. It's not everybody is different.
Everybody's
yeah. It's whatever works for your relationship,
right?
Yeah.
My
you know.
sister and my mom speak multiple times a day. I only speak to my mom one time a day.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, with the scare we just recently have, now I'm speaking to her more. But,
Yeah.
you know, and she is up there in age. So,
Yeah.
like
Right.
I had mentioned earlier before we started recording, they become your child.
Yeah.
So now we are more attentive to her, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I only would do the once a day. That's all I need to know. She was good. Give her la buena
Yeah.
noche, and we're good.
Yeah.
My sister's the one that would speak to her through the whole day. Like, she'll call her in the morning, she'll call her in the middle of the day, she'll call her at night, and I'm like, that's too much. Like,
Yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
it's an anxiety thing for me too because of the experience I had with my mom. So it's more of a relaxation.
knowing that she's good.
It's just an anxiety thing. It just calms me to know that,
She's
you know,
okay.
she's good. Talk to her in the morning, talk to her at night, and then she'll call me 20 times a day for like a remote control or something. You know, it's just, you know, it's a passion thing. We're passionate about each other. That's a
Right,
real
right.
corny segue for me to talk about our topic today.
Is that what it's
So,
called?
yeah. So today we're gonna talk about finding your passion, and we have an amazing guest that I'm super excited about. He is a world-renowned choreographer. He's done American Idol. He's done the Ellen DeGeneres Show. He's done so many different platforms, and I'm excited to see, you know, his startup and where he is now and what he has next. And we will be right back with our guest, Lyrik Cruz. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our Pero Porque Why segment. And today we have none other than choreographer Lyrik Cruz. Come on, Lyrik.
Woo!
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here with the wisdom and the wine tonight.
Yes.
We're so happy to have you on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I'm super excited to have you on. Obviously, you know, Dakota introduced you to me, and we had her on last week, and that was like a whole other episode. You know, she's super high energy and funny, and so conversation just kept on rolling. But we wanted to have you on today because our topic is all about finding your passion. And like Dakota, she found her passion young, right? Dakota has been in dance since we were kids. And you're a dancer, choreographer. You've done so many things from American Idol to lip sync battle to, you know, the Ellen DeGeneres show. So tell us about your journey. How did you find your passion? And what made you, you know, stick through it and continue doing it?
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you a portion of how this went. You know, I don't think for me it was so much about finding it. I think I understood my calling very young in life. Um, Being born Puerto Rican is already a blessing in itself, and all the music that comes with it. Um, I think you know, I grew up in a very, you know, in a very inner, you know, in the middle of the inner city of Chicago, in a very gang infested time in Chicago. But you know, I had this calling for the arts that no one ever led me to. I found it, and you know, and that's why now I understand, you know, 4 decades later that you know it was a calling, and I knew how to answer it right away. You know, for some people that takes some time. I do feel like a very fortunate one that by the time I was 6 or 7, there was no other question that this was going to be the rest of my life.
Cheers to you.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Cheers.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Congrats.
Were your parents supportive of it?
Mhm.
So, you know, I come from a single parent home. Although my mother taught me how to have more strength and dignity than any man could have ever taught me. But no, you know, I'm one of 3 boys, the middle child, so the awkward one, the artist, you know, by all means. Um, you know, my mother you know, I'm first generation in our family in the United States. So my mother left the island when she was about 17, went straight to New York City. From New York, then she ended up in Chicago. So, for my mother, life was different, for our parents in those days. It was about survival. It was the struggle. It was, how do they move forward? How do they acclimate? How do they raise kids in this foreign land to them? So, it's not that my mother never supported it. She always allowed me to do what I thought I needed to do. But she didn't, how it is in Latin families. Nobody's gonna pay for you to take dance classes. You know what they say, si quieres bailar, pues baila ahí.
Uh-huh.
You can dance all
Uh-huh.
night long.
Vale la
It-
fiesta.
That's
yeah,
right.
like our parents didn't have, at least my mom supporting three boys, her money wasn't for that, but she also never stood in the way of my decisions. I know that, later on in life, fortunately, I got to see my mother graduate from college when I was
Wow.
about
Yes.
9 years old. And my mother became an educator. And she was just, she was busy trying to give us something to look up to. So again, it was me. I would go in the community and I would find what served this purpose, this huge purpose I already felt that I needed to fulfill. And and I'm one of those kids that was raised by a village, so it was a lot of the people that worked in my neighborhood, a lot of people from the Puerto Rican Cultural Center in Chicago, that they saw something in me, and they put their time into me as much passion as I put into everything I did. So that's how I found my first dance group, was when I was about 9 years old, and it was called Grupo de Ballet Folclórico Puertorriqueño Las Semillitas, which was planting roots.
Yeah.
Was the purpose of the name. And they were rehearsing at a nearby field house that all of our parks in Chicago had. I heard music through one of the windows. I was literally playing it with some friends around the field house. Heard the music stop. I was a very nosy kid, so very very fearless and shameless. So I went right into the rehearsal room, and the director looked over at me and she just said, "What? You think you could dance like them?" I said, "Maybe better." and,
Ooh,
and,
Good.
and,
ooh,
I
I like
love
it.
that.
I like it.
yeah, I
Yes.
don't know where I got all that confidence from, but
Excuse me.
it was part of the gift. And and that's where the journey began. And and I'm happy that it began with learning the music of my heritage, the music
Yes.
of my country, and that gave incredible purpose as the years went on behind what I do in choreography and dance.
Mhm.
Well, cheers to your
Wow.
mom, first of all.
Yes.
Cheers
Yeah,
to
Yes.
you,
Yes.
and
thank
cheers
you,
to being a phenomenal Latino.
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love the fact that you said that you loved that it started with you portraying your culture, because we've
Yes.
had that conversation on this show so many times that I feel that over time and throughout these newer generations, we're losing part of our culture,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times I feel that our generation is the generation that's still mixed with a little bit of the old school
Mhm.
and the new
Hmm.
school, and we absorb whatever's coming, right? So like past, present, and future. And it scares me, honestly. Like, I was just in Puerto Rico a week and a half
Hmm.
ago, and a lot of its culture is missing. It's gotten very Americanized. A lot of Puerto Rico is very run down. There's a lot of abandoned houses, after Hurricane Maria. And
Hmm.
you know, it's a very, very Americanized, like I said before. And you don't see the same before, like, when you're driving through la carreteras, the bacalaitos that used to be, fried, with the big pot, and you could just pull over and buy one, or, people cutting up a coco and just selling it on the side of this road for like $2. You don't see that, but there's a Burger King and McDonald's on every other corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, this is a very touchy yet perfect subject for me, because
Mhm.
it's something that I just stand by so much. I don't like to say I think we're the last generation, even though in so many ways it does feel like that, right?
Mhm.
But I think that it's also our job to make young Puerto Ricans more interested in
Yes.
what it is to be Puerto Rican, and how
Yes.
to find the pride in what it is to be Puerto Rican.
Yes.
Because you see, growing up in Chicago, again, very grateful that I grew up in the community that I did, right? But not every kid in my neighborhood took the path that I took. I
Mhm.
was intrigued by being Puerto Rican. So I wanted to know what that meant. And because I was a kid who was maybe, they always say a little ahead of your time. I don't think there's such thing. I think you're always of the time that you're supposed to be in,
Right.
But I think that, at least what I try to do, what I like to carry on is that I feel like it's my duty to tell young Puerto Ricans to find, to make them more interested,
Yes.
because our culture is so beautiful, our history is so beautiful, and it goes far more beyond than Bad Bunny. You get me?
Oh
Now,
yes.
now,
Exactly.
as much as we could celebrate, right, that our music, oh, now the world thinks it's great. We always knew it was fucking great. I'm
Exactly.
sorry, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
No,
You know
fuck
what I
away.
No,
You're absolutely
it's
right.
fucking right.
Mhm.
You're absolutely right.
But I think that's our job, and sometimes it could seem like an exhausting one, but all it takes is conversations, because it's how I got this savvy to say of what it was to be Puerto Rican. I'll never forget that when I started um following this path of Puerto Ricanism, right? I never knew that we had poets and playwrights and actors and activists and so many things that will make you feel so full in your
Yeah.
identity.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
those of us who are first generation, there's still a search for identity for us, right? It lives in our home, but when we stepped out of our home, where did our identity exist? And so, I try to share with my mentees as much as I can, especially the Latin ones, whether they're Puerto Rican or not, of how they should be much more interested of where they came from,
Yeah.
and
Amen.
that would really change a lot of their human dynamics,
Mhm.
because I'll never forget the question that turned my entire existence around was, one teacher told me once, "Hey, Lyrik, you're really proud to be Puerto Rican, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." I was giving very ignorant answers, but the ones that we will always give, right? Why are you proud? Oh, because the music, because of Miss Universe, because of Roberto Clemente, because of I would say that. And he said, "Okay, those are all pretty good." He was like, "So you're so proud to be Puerto Rican. Do you know what the Puerto Rican flag stands for?" And I was like, again, a very naive answer. Well, yeah, it means pride, and it means this. He was like, "No, no, no. I'm saying, do you know the actual meaning of the three red stripes, of the blue triangle, of the white star?" And I said, "Well, no, no, I don't know." And I didn't think anything of it. And then he asked, "Do you know what the American flag stands for?" And I did, but I
Wow.
didn't know, right.
Puerto Rican
But I
flag,
didn't
man.
know what the
Mhm.
Puerto Rican flag meant.
Yeah.
That shit hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that moment happened. So happy that moment happened, because
Yeah.
it really changed the discourse of my life moving forward.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That is some deep shit you just shared.
Well, listen, there's two parts to
Okay.
lyrics.
You're
There's two
telling
parts
me
to
to go do
lyrics.
some research.
Yeah, yeah, but this is who I always was, whether it was with dance or not. This is what I felt about life. And then when I got accepted into the Performing Arts High School of Chicago, granted, I was probably one of the two Puerto Ricans in the entire program on the opposite side of town, where for the first time I went to school with Asians and American kids and Indian kids. Till then, I had only went to school with Mexican and Black, and that's what I knew, you know.
Mhm.
So when I got accepted into this high school, I remember, after my first week, feeling the biggest culture clash of my life internally. I just remembered saying, I'm not gonna be the dumb Puerto Rican kid here,
Go.
you know? So that's where I really understood what having depth to who I was needed to be. And so that's what I'm always in the search for.
I love that.
Wow.
To you.
Here's to you, man. That's
Wow.
amazing. You know,
Thank
you hit so
thank
many
you.
things on the head, Lyric, that I'm big on.
Mm.
I'm not Puerto Rican, but my kids are half Puerto Rican. I'm Dominican.
Mhm.
And since my kids were born, I made sure that the babysitters were Spanish because I
Yes.
wanted them to know their culture, right? Just because
Mhm.
they're American, their dad is Boricua. I'm Dominican. I wanted them to know their roots. I took them to Puerto Rico. I took them to Dominican
Mhm.
Republic. They both now, of course, are grown. They love all of the culture, right? The Puerto Rican and the
Right.
Dominican culture, both of their flags. But it's
Mhm.
so important, our generation, like you said, to keep it alive. And that's why
Yeah.
I made it my priority for my kids to have Spanish speaking babysitters, whether they were Dominican, whether they were Puerto Rican. But I was like, no, you need to speak to them in Spanish, because when they speak to my parents are only speaking to them in Spanish.
Right.
You know, so they need to know Spanish, and that's their root. That's where they come from. They need to understand where they come
Mhm.
from, and I
Yeah.
think it's so important, because that's why it's lost. Because our generation, we're too busy, right, trying to be the American family, right, wherever
Yep.
we come from, and we forget our roots or our culture.
Mhm.
And it's so important. Like, I have guira, I have tambora, I have, I
Mhm.
have every fucking Hispanic instrument you can think of in this house, since
Right.
they're
Yeah.
babies, for that same reason. Like, this is our
Yep.
root, this is our shit, this is our rhythm, this is what we got in our
Yeah.
veins.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something I'm super grateful to my mom for is that my mother kept me in a bilingual classroom until I was up in 6th grade, and not because I needed to, but
Right.
Right.
He wanted you to know
that
both languages.
she already knew that, which has been one of the greatest assets of my life
Yeah.
in this
Yes.
career and traveling the
Yes.
world, because people don't realize that most of the world speaks Spanish.
Yes.
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 South America, Central America, Mexico, Spain,
Yeah.
all the islands. I can
Yeah.
go on. It's all
Yeah.
Yes.
Spanish-speaking country,
Yeah.
you know? So my mother did a huge service. And, you know, it's so funny that back then she couldn't even know how to explain that purpose of
Mhm.
why. You know, I would just question off and on, like, Mom, why am I in a Spanish classroom? You know, like, well, you know, just because all my teachers would also say, "Why are you in ESL classes?"
Right.
But now I'm so grateful that that's what happened. But yeah, you know, again, the way that I keep kids excited about what it is to be Puerto Rican is through music and dance,
Yeah.
right? Something, and again, it's not just about the Puerto Rican kid; it's about the Latin kid. I think there's something so strong and powerful when I get to say, you know, yo soy Latino, soy puertorriqueño, you know, that feels like a fucking superpower, you
Yeah.
know?
And it
And
should.
right, and I'm happy though that I never felt less than because of that. I always felt more,
Mm-hmm.
that I was more. But you know, but that was something that was in me, right? I'm all my cousins, my mother's one of 12 kids.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So I have a lot of cousins, but my mother's the only one that moved to the United States. But all of my cousins, by the time we were teenagers, they always said, you know, Andy, tú no naciste en Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico nació en mí. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't born there, but it was
Yeah.
born in me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know? And it has been, you know, it's just been beautiful to share that with every Latin kid that comes around. And even here working in Hollywood, you know, there's only about 60 of us Puerto Ricans, and we all know each other because, and most importantly, because we have to, you know,
Right.
we have
You
to
have
know
to
each
stay
other so we can
together.
support each other. Yes. So we can
Awesome.
support each other, push each other forward.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's what I try to do with any Latin kid that I encounter here. You
Right.
know, I try to remind them what it is to be Latin and to never shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're still fighting some hurdles here in Hollywood, they're worth the fight, and fight them happily, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Cheers to you for doing that.
Hell yeah. But mira,
Thank you.
Lyrik,
Thank you.
I want to
Yes.
say that all we hear thinking that your passion was the choreography and all that, pero the passion is tú haciendo puertorriqueño. That's the
That's
passion.
right.
Boricua.
And
Yeah,
now
listen,
you're taking
it
that
really is.
passion and
Yeah.
you're pouring it into your young people that you are encountering. And I think that's beautiful, man.
That's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it really is, and you know, you're right. You know, being Puerto Rican is what became the driving force behind all of this. You know, and trust me, you know, I've encountered colleagues or acquaintances who are like, "Oh my God, Lyrik, you always talk about Puerto Rico." I said, "And now you're talking about it too, right?"
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I don't know if people feel intimidated by it because they don't know it or they
Right.
don't honor it as much. But you know, again, I don't wear it to. I don't talk about it to be superior. I talk about it so that you know that I'm just as proud of being who I am
Amen.
as you
Amen.
are being who you are.
Amen.
Educate.
Amen.
You're educating.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I love this.
Educating. You know, I going now and you know and being with my family, we don't really have family here. All of our family is in Puerto Rico. And going now, we went for the passing of my aunt. And there are a lot. My mother has about 38 nieces and nephews. Just first from, you know, just first nieces and nephews. That's not
Right.
including second and third and the 500 that were born after, right? And so when we were at the funeral, I met, actually lie, on the flight over there, the airline stewardess comes up to me and he goes, "Are you Latalati?" Which is my father's last name. And I
Mhm.
said, "Yes." And he's like, "Is your mother up there?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's wrong? Like, what happened?" He's like, "No, he's like, I think we're cousins." And I was like, "What?"
Wow.
And then he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Because my last name is Latalati." And I was like, "Oh, damn, we're related." I was like, "Who's your father?"
Oh, shoot.
So we started talking, and it turns out that let me see if I get this right. My grandfather is my grandfather is his uncle,
Wow.
Wow.
Got it.
Wow.
right? And so his father was the mayor of my father's town. And I always knew his father, and you know, when we used to go visit and stuff like that, but I never knew the extended family, right? Because we were
Right.
always more involved with my mother's family than my father's family. So that was like a light bulb to me. And I'm like, I really don't know this part of my family. You know, I know the last name, I know what it stands for, I know the politics behind it, but like,
Mhm.
I know X amount of small cousins on that side of the family. And I watched this show on PBS called Know Your Roots. And they do like this whole background check and then they get like a family tree. So I came back and I went like on ancestry.com and I paid the
Yeah.
membership and I started
Yes.
putting
Yes.
in
Yes.
names. And there's so many first cousins from my father's side that I have yet to even meet, you know? And I'm like, this is insane. And it's not that, it's like you said, like if my father would have passed it down to us and
Right.
introduced us to this part of the family, like, listen, this is your first cousin, this is your second cousin, like, this is your family. You know, we only know like one set of cousins from my father's side, but there's a shitload of them, you know?
Yeah.
And if anybody has that last name, we are the only ones that has that last name in the world. We're related somehow, you know?
Yeah.
So it just,
But again, you finding out this information is what makes you more curious about where you
yes,
come from.
yes, that's
So
exactly.
if kids encounter this a little bit more, they will get more curious.
Yeah.
And through curiosity, they would want to learn. And then they'll start asking the questions that we don't have to tell them about.
Right,
You
Right.
know?
Well,
right.
that's, you know, I'm an educator and I'm glad that someone asked you that question, like a teacher asked
Yeah.
you, someone asked you that question, not in a way to make you feel less than, but in a way to spark something.
Mhm.
Say,
Mhm.
okay, you know, but now you need to go deeper, you know, and I think
Yes.
that's part that's so important as educators, and we can all be educators in our own way with our own kids, with, you know, whoever we surround, you know, encounter, you know.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm Colombian, and I took my kids for the second time to Colombia. They were little the first time, and now they're bigger, and they could appreciate, like, wow,
Yeah.
they know the difference, and it's like it's important
It
to
is.
put those roots in there, you know. And like, you have family, the food, the culture, the music, and they were like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
you know, they
Well,
know,
well, well,
you
this is
know.
the thing, you know, I think you all know because we come from the same generation. It's like if these kids don't know their identity, they're going into this world feeling already either a little bit defeated or
Mhm.
confused of where do they fit? Where
Yes.
do they go? You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is why it's so crucial for for every for everyone to keep having these conversations with each other, with each other's kids. You know, make sure that this is a conversation that keeps developing, because um the only reason why we've been stifled is because people are afraid of what we can become, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many of us have
Yeah.
so many of us have already broke that barrier, and we
Yeah.
are becoming everything they didn't think we could, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
But now the more that we give these kids that knowledge, they're going to walk into these universities with a little bit more security and confidence. Because
Yeah.
for us it was tough. I'm not going to, you know, there was so many dance classes that I walked into, and you know, I was fair skinned, but I was very Puerto Rican, you know,
Mhm.
and you know, and you're in this place, and I had one choice, right, to either feel inferior or to feel empowered.
Right.
But I can't say I always won the battle,
Right.
Mhm.
you know. But why? But and the times that I did it, just because there was a lack of knowing who I was, you know. But once I did, and once I did this work and found out, oh my God, you
It
know
was
what I'm
over.
saying? Well, literally, I was determined to to you know, I was determined to take the world ahead of me, and I did, you know, and I did, and I've been able to since.
Fucking
I
Wow.
amazing.
love
Let me
that.
tell you, you should be
Wow.
preaching because you gave me goosebumps all over my
Yes.
body when you were talking. I just want
Yes.
you to know. You're
Yes.
Yeah.
fucking
Same.
fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
I love
amazing.
it. I love it. And you know, a lot of what you said has inspired us, believe it or not, to continue with this show. Um, I'll give you a small background, but this show really started as a joke, right? During COVID. It
Through
really did. I'm
COVID.
not lying.
As most great ideas are, they
Yeah,
start off as a
right.
joke and then they turn into something great.
It started as a joke. I was bored. I've always been the class clown. I've always harassed them with shit, you know, and one thing led to another. Next thing we were a photo shoot. We were like, let's just do 5 episodes, see where it goes. Then it turned into a 1 year anniversary celebration at SOBs. Then it turned into live shows, and now we're on tour. And then it turned into interviewing people like you. And what has kept us going and pushing it is the fact that we are 4 Latinas doing
Yep.
something that has not been seen. There is no all Latina female talk shows or host mainstream right now in the industry. You may have one like Sunny Hostin that's on The View and Anna Navarro,
Yeah.
but an all female cast, there isn't anything like that, you know. So I push myself and we push each other in the sense that we want to be the first, right? Whether
Yes.
we do it
Yes.
now or do it in 2 years or 5 years or in our mid 50s, it doesn't matter. We want to be
It
the
doesn't
first.
matter when, as long as you're on the journey now, you
Yes.
know. But trust me, and I'm gonna tell you, it's so funny you say that, because today, earlier today, I was walking in the picket line for the Writers
I do
Guild
too.
For the
here
SAG.
here.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a SAG member, and now we just started a choreographers guild for the first time in the
Nice.
history of this.
So
So the choreographers guild, we decided today to go stand in solidarity with the writers who are on strike, right? And I run into a friend that we've been doing this career together for 30 years. And we were just talking about this. And one thing I told her, I said, Rocky, you know that I'm happily 42. I'll be 43 this year. And some of the most amazing things in my career have happened in the past 7 years, you know, and
Yeah.
because that thought of pinning our age to anything is such an ancient thought.
Yeah.
It
So
Yeah.
sure
ancient.
is.
Yeah.
Totally.
First of all, look at us. We've already changed what 40s look like. You know,
Absolutely.
we
Amen.
totally have. Yeah, we totally have. You know, our poor
Yo me
parents, man.
bañé, yo me bañé.
Like, you know, our poor parents were in the struggle. You know, and you know, they did the damn thing, but man, they look so tired. You know,
Beat
Yes.
up
they
and
work
run down.
so hard. You
Yes.
know, and you know, me, I'm still giving these 20-year-olds a run for their
But
money.
yes.
Yes.
You know, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You know, you know, cheers to you girls,
Thank you.
and I see nothing but something bright for you, because as long as you stick to something that's just coming to you organically and it's this real, there's no way that it'll fail.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're so excited that I'm so excited that you came on the show. Like I feel like you did a match under our asses.
Well,
I
Um,
just
listen, we
love,
got to do that for each other. We got to do that for each
absolutely.
yeah,
other.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You're very inspiring. But I aside from being Puerto Rican and that being your passion, and you know, what's next for you in your career? Like, do you have any projects coming up soon? Are you working anything on, you know, now? What's up and coming for you?
So, you know, this life in the arts is it's such an up and down road. But for me, you know, I've done it for so long, and at this point, I live doing what I do in such peace and ease, because I do understand that one thing cannot be more clear, that lo que es para ti es tuyo,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm.
know,
Woo.
and
Amen.
so
Good.
I no longer live in this anxiety or desperation. You know, there's some years that everything unfolds before the year started, and
Yeah.
that's fucking great, you know? And then there's years that it's month to month and you take it as it comes, you know? But you know, this year right now, I'm trying to do a shift, you know. I'm one of those people. I didn't work to become a choreographer. I think I was always a choreographer first. That was again the calling. You know, I always got the kids together from the building that we lived in, or the kids from the neighborhood, and that's how I started my own dance company when I was 17 in Chicago. It was just, you know, I was always a choreographer by nature, but now I'm more stepping into the director's seat and liking the life behind the camera. You
Nice.
know, I'm trying to I'm getting my ducks in order, but you know, eventually I just want to start segment producing for TV, and hopefully start pitching shows which are Latino based.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Nice.
Eso viene,
Thank
como
you.
tú dijiste,
Yeah.
lo que es para
Yeah.
ti,
Yeah.
para ti.
It's that thing.
Yeah, you know, and you know, the one thing that I do know how to do is work hard. You know what I'm saying? So the
Nothing
work I know
happens
how to
easy.
do, yeah, at all. And even though, you know, we we use the word resilience in a very powerful way, because a lot of us are, and it's what we come from, right? But you know, I also tell everybody, you know, resilience is a catch-22, because resilience is also fucking exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Very.
So you
Yes.
know, so we wear it as a badge of honor, because it's not easy to be resilient, but it
Mm-hmm.
also gets really exhausting too. So I'm living in an era where I will not leave my future in no one's hand. My future is in my hand,
That's
Mm.
right.
and I'm gonna make what I need out of it. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Mm-hmm.
those that I have on my team, my manager, my agent, my publicist, and all that, yeah, they're there to support what I'm trying to unfold. But you know, I think I'm at peace with my career because I'm in charge of it.
That's
Wow.
right.
I love that.
Too much. I love that.
I love that. I love that.
Te
And you know,
digo que
mind
él
you,
está, mira, cácata,
Yeah,
cácata.
they,
Yeah, for real.
well,
Eso es lo que está
well,
haciendo.
What is
hitting it on the
but
head with everything.
The,
is
the,
that
the
God.
five winding wisdom words of Lyrik Cruz.
no, this shit is life, man. This shit is life. And you know, and I've lived this life for five people. You
Yeah.
know, I am as equally as I was a deep and a poet and a writer and a dancer. I was also a fucking party animal, a raver, just a person who loved that life because there's so much art in it. And I experienced it all. You know, I experienced it all of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But I wanted to live. And the way you live is through experience, you
Yes,
know?
100%.
And as an artist, you know, sometimes you step into muddy waters, you know, and you know, you sink or swim, right? And sometimes you just have to put yourself in those predicaments to see what you're made up of, you know, or to remind yourself that you're better than the situation you allowed yourself to be in. But you know, that's where all of this comes from, girls. It's just I've lived life, you know, and I've definitely took the road less traveled than, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on purpose though, you know, on
Right.
purpose. And even though I could have seemed like a mindless wanderer, I always knew exactly where I was going. I just didn't have to tell anybody where that place was.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to know.
Good for you.
Mhm.
And I love
Wow.
what you just said, that you put yourself in the road that you allowed yourself to be in, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes we always want to finger point, or we want to place blame because it's easier to place blame. But at the end of this day, there are decisions that you
That we
make,
make.
choices that you make, and situations that you put yourself in. And then you got to take a minute and be like, okay, either I continue or I learn from it and then shift and pivot into another road, right? So the fact that you say that is the road that you allowed yourself to be in is
Mm-hmm.
amazing, because you're owning it, right? You're
Well,
owning it, and you're like,
well, one thing I caught on to very early in life, and you know, and it's sad that culturally, when you share ideas that are too big for somebody else's thoughts, you know, what did they say? Ay, nene, déjate de eso.
Mira, mira.
yeah,
Eso no
Está
va.
loco, está
Está
loco.
loco.
Well, you know how many times I got the look when people would say, "Hey, Lyric, so what are you gonna do?" Well, you know, I'm gonna work in TV and film. They'll be like, "Well, good luck with that." You know, it's but and mind you, I don't think that anyone meant anything bad. It
They
was just
don't, right.
no,
it was just
They didn't see
culturally,
it.
Yeah.
They didn't see
Yeah.
it.
culturally they, you know, even like some of our parents, they carried an island mentality.
Right.
Island mentality could be very small
Very
sometimes, you
small.
know.
Yeah.
So when you have a kid like me who's super hyperactive, and I saw this life for me from day one. There was never a doubt. Can I tell you how I made it happen? No, but it was just
Listen, you
it.
manifested it
That's
from
it.
Yeah, yeah.
young.
That's it.
That's
Without
part of
yeah,
it.
right, without even knowing what manifestation was.
Right.
But I knew this was it.
Yeah.
One thing I do know is that I worked my ass off
Right.
to make it happen,
Mhm.
you know. And when I left school, and my mother, who's an educator, I'm like, well, Mom, I withdrew from my classes. You know, the look, you know, a look from a Latin mother where she is
Broke
not
her
happy with
heart.
your fucking choices. Well, even more than that, you know, she looks at me and she says, "You really withdrew from your classes. You
I,
better fucking make it happen."
good.
So you know that shit made me want to reinstate in all my classes like right away, right?
Tú estabas sweating. You were sweating.
I felt I was very confident before we sat down to have that conversation. And then when we had it, and that was her reply, I was like, oh shit, maybe I don't have this figured out yet, you know? But
you're walking away
you
like
know,
nobody knows.
oh yeah, no, please, that shit hit me hard.
You were
But
like, ay,
I'm
ay, ay.
I'm happy that I stuck to my guns, and you know, and it's how she tells me now, you know, she's happy that I did too. She's happy that I fought against what her wish would have been. But fortunately, my mom didn't want to be how her parents were. So my mother never fought us with anything much. She really allowed me and my brothers to be exactly who we were supposed to be.
Beautiful.
You
Oh,
know,
that's
like
beautiful.
she like she never made us practice a religion that we didn't understand or we didn't want or we didn't feel in alignment with. She trusted us as much as she could, right? But when she saw that I was kind of headstrong and listen, what's always the deal? You make good grades, you let me do everything else I want to do, right?
Yeah.
And that was the best deal I ever made with her, and I owned up to my half, so she let me do this, um but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, far from easy. But I was going to work tirelessly to make it happen. And I want any kid who, or any other young adult who hears us or gets a chance to watch this podcast with us, is just, the limits are literally, man, the ones that you set for yourself.
Yeah.
Boundaries are so invisible,
Mm-hmm.
and you just got to make a choice of how you're going to make this unwrap for yourself. And I hope that they feel empowered. I hope that 4 other little Latin girls run into one of these shows one day and feel inspired to speak their truth, to speak their experience, because being vulnerable is what's not easy in life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you're happy with who you are, being vulnerable is a fucking piece of cake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Why
Coño,
you went
tú
from
me
number
vas a hacer
6?
llorar.
Like number six.
You
Hold on.
inspired us tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have. You
sure.
inspired us
¿Dónde
a
que tú
lot.
vives? I'm coming over.
Anytime you girls
Next
want to
time
come
you're
to
in New York, you
LA,
gotta let us know. Yo te cocino.
yeah. Well, I'm there often. I
Oh,
was
look, you really do have me ready to fucking
Oh no.
amazing.
No, listen, I wish that these were more common conversations
Yeah.
in our families, in our get-togethers. It's forcing someone to want to have a broader idea or a broader view of life is not easy, and I have my own challenges within my own family because of that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that they're less than. I just think that I'm trying so hard to share with them this thing that was gifted to me and thought. But I also know that maybe
This
that's not.
vision that you see.
But it's
Right.
also, it's hard when it's not for everyone.
Right.
Everyone
Yes.
can't see it, and you
Right.
have to
Right.
just let it
And
go.
I've had some friends that I grew up with that I thought we were gonna do this dance career together forever. And one of them told me one day, because I kind of was scolding him, which was trying to empower him more than anything. And I was like, Willie, I really thought you were gonna do this, man. Like, what are you doing? What's going on? And he looked at me, and in the most sincerest way, he just said, Lyrik, I never loved this the way you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Difference.
Yeah.
oh my God, my bad. Because what perspective, obviously I wasn't doing anything with bad intention, but you're right. It's, everyone has a different calling, and,
Wasn't
you
his
know,
truth or
right, right. And he couldn't be more clear when he said, I don't love it that much. I know how to do it well. I enjoy it, but I don't love it the way you love it.
It was more
And
of
so,
a pastime for him.
right. And so it's how I try to deal with it with my friends and my family. I always want more for everybody, but you have to know when to pump the brakes, because sometimes that could overwhelm somebody.
Yeah.
And opposed to empowering them, that could shut them down.
Right.
And that's not what
Yeah.
it is. So now I'm careful of how I navigate in those conversations, but
Yeah.
it's always just wanting to, I'm a kid that grew up with nothing. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I got to see the world and I got paid for it, because otherwise there was no way I was going to see what I've seen in this world.
Yeah.
That's just not what I come from. So after seeing the world how I have, I just want everyone to know that we're around, that it's so attainable, it's so possible. It's not impossible to think this, it's not impossible to dream it, it's not impossible to see yourself there, but you just have to believe in something. So, it's just something, again, I always encourage everyone to try to have these conversations with your families more. Try to have these conversations with the kids in your family more, just so they don't feel so weird or awkward when it does come up. You know,
Yeah.
Thank you.
'cause
Wow.
you know,
You, man.
I think our race is a beautiful race, you know, and I think the Latin race is something so fucking special. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like we were the chosen ones. You get me?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more richer, more beautiful, more musical, more in depth, more flavorful, more anything than
Yes.
Latin people. You
Yeah.
know?
I
So
agree.
you know, I just want our generation under us to just feel that, you know, and we have to create that. We have to continue to create that conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I think this all started with what's coming up for me, right? So what's coming up?
I love all of it. I love all of it.
So what's coming up for me is that I am moving more into producing and directing. Again, you know, one of my childhood best friends is Gina Rodriguez, who is a you know famous actor now, Golden Globe winner, Puerto Rican from Chicago. We met each other when she was 9, I was 11, and
Wow.
you know, and later she became one of the dancers in my dance company.
That's
Then, you know,
awesome.
we've been friends ever since then. And, you know, she's been very successful and she has a production company now that is pushing Latin content. So, you know, now the goal is to finishing sharpening up my tools in that area so then I could join her in that endeavor and we could get more Latin stories out
I
with more
love it.
Latin actors in it.
I love
Awesome.
it.
Love
I
it.
love it.
Awesome.
Continue your path, continue your passion. Don't
Thank you.
stop. Don't stop because
Thank you.
I'm more than excited to see what you are going to put together for the Latin
Yeah, well,
community.
look at
The doors
I'm
you're
at
gonna
the point
open
of no
for
return.
Yeah.
Point of no return now.
yeah.
Now there, I have to. You know, I have
Do
to.
it, do it,
You
do
know,
it.
now I have to. So and thank you guys for the support because that you know I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't matter how big or how small. When you feel that your people see you, that is such a great win for me. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't care of. Let me rephrase that. I am humbled by acknowledgement that I get with my peers and my colleagues and being nominated for awards for my work that I put so much love into. But when I am seen by my people, there's no nomination or award greater than that
Right.
for me, you
It's a
know?
different
So
feeling.
yeah, so know that you guys reaching out and wanting to do this with me means just as much to me than if I was on set for a movie.
Oh
You
my
know,
Oh.
it means the same.
The fact that
Thank
you
you.
took time out of your busy schedule to do this for us without even knowing us. We didn't know.
Yeah.
You just gave me your phone number and I was like, hey, like I knew you for years. And you took your time out. And I know you have to go pick up your mom at the airport, and you still took the time out to come sit and share this time with us. I am completely grateful. Thank you so much. It's
No,
been
and thank you for having me, and maybe the first of many. And honestly, I
Yes.
cannot wait to meet you girls in person. I'll be in New York soon, so we will figure this out, okay?
Yes.
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 Yeah,
Yes.
no,
Let
Yes.
us know.
I think we need to meet like bi-weekly because we need your
See,
talk.
see, see?
No, and listen, one thing I am so willing to help out with, girls, is that if you're looking for more people to have on, I could shoot you a list of so many potentials and
Awesome.
see who you're interested in, and I would love to connect you with
Yeah,
them.
that would
We
be
would love
awesome.
that.
Oh
We
my
would
God, that would
love
be so
that.
great.
You
Thank
know,
you, Lyrik.
Yeah.
we'll talk a little bit offline.
Honored to have you on with us. You've inspired
Thank you.
us. You've enlightened
Thank
us.
you.
You have such a beautiful light. Don't
Yes.
ever stop.
Thank
Don't
you.
ever
Yeah.
change who you are.
Thank you. Thank
Because
you. I
you are
appreciate that.
just,
There's a little
there's
chinito
a
Thank
right.
you.
purpose in your life.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Please continue inspiring people and the youth of tomorrow so they can grow up to be more like you
Yeah.
And better, I hope.
and
You know,
better.
even better.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We'll be
Woo.
right back. Welcome back, guys. So, ladies, I think we had a very empowering, informative, root digging episode.
Yes,
For
we
real.
did.
For real.
Wow. Wow.
Lyrik
wow.
was amazing. Lyrik surprised me.
Yes,
Really?
He
Did
surprised
he
me.
did.
I'm like, we're gonna talk
Surprised the
about
shit out of all of us.
dancing, his passion, but he is
Yeah.
just passionate
Yes.
in who he is, what he stands
Yes.
for, his
Where he's
roots, like,
from.
love it.
Roots, his roots. It's so
Yes.
important. The culture, keeping the
Yeah.
culture alive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. I think he inspired all of us to dig in a little deeper and to see who we are, where we come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And
He
to
has-
love it and to know that it's a strength,
Yeah.
Be proud. To be
Be
proud of where
proud.
you come from.
it sets us apart, and it's just like we are amazing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like
I
he
can't
said, it's
wait.
our superpower.
Yeah, he left
Yeah.
us speechless a couple of times because I was
Yeah.
like,
He
and
left us speechless
I'm
throughout the
like,
whole episode.
I saw it, Jessica. I saw it.
wow, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not expect that. And I
Yeah.
love his last message with the self-care and making
Mhm.
sure that we do that for ourselves because he wanted to see that with his own mom.
Yeah.
You know,
That was amazing.
so that was
And
deep.
the
we
message
love.
to the younger kids about following through and not giving up on their dreams or not listening when
Mhm.
people don't have that vision or don't understand your vision or don't have the same passion you have for what you
Yeah.
believe in, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
It
love
was-
how his, like, as a parent saying, his mom let him be who he was
Right, that's so
and
important.
didn't put those things, those pressures of,
Yeah.
she wanted. I think that's important. I try to do that, and it's hard
Yeah.
sometimes, and as they get older, you have to really know your kid
Yeah.
and like
Let them
You gotta
develop
trust
into
them.
who they
allow
be.
them to fly
Yeah,
in their
trust them.
own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
I
if
think
they
that
don't
was
see it
amazing.
every time.
I think he was a gift.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
100%.
I think he was a gift, and I'm thankful, for his message, and I know I needed to hear a little bit of that today.
I think
So
we all
Definitely
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the right
definitely.
guest for tonight.
But guys, tune in and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Wine and Wisdom 5.
Y oye, don't forget to take a minute to sip some wine and share a little wisdom. Till next time, ciao.
Bye.